Welcome to the debate. Right now, restaurants are, they're basically ignoring nearly 40% of the people trying to give them money.
Yeah, which is just wild when you think about it.
It is. And why? Because the staff is just, they're simply too busy to answer the phone.
Right, they're physically running the floor.
Exactly. So today, we're looking at a technological intervention that claims to solve this exact bottleneck. Specifically, we're exploring the efficacy and, the real-world implications of using AI voice agents.
Right, focusing closely on the Clickfone platform to automate customer interactions and reservations in the restaurant industry.
Yeah, grounding our analysis in Clickfone's official documentation, their technical specs and pricing structures, I'm going to argue that this platform is an essential operational lifeline. It eliminates these massive bottlenecks, drastically reduces personnel costs, and fundamentally modernizes how restaurants handle their inbound traffic.
And I'll be contending that while the financial metrics look incredibly appealing on a spreadsheet, replacing human hospitality staff with rigid AI parameters is a massive risk. We're talking about degrading genuine hospitality and potentially frustrating guests the second an interaction becomes even slightly complex.
Well, let's start right in on that operational reality, because the numbers in the source material, they paint a really stark picture of an industry under intense strain.
Yeah, the data is pretty rough.
It is. According to the data, a staggering 38% of calls to businesses are just missed.
Wow, 38%?
Right? And if you're listening to this and you own a restaurant, you know that a missed call isn't just a minor inconvenience. It's a direct, measurable loss of revenue.
Because they don't call back.
Exactly. If a potential diner calls at 11 p.m. to book a table for tomorrow night, they're not leaving a voicemail. They're just going to call the next restaurant on their list.
True. The modern diner has absolutely zero patience for a ringing phone.
Yeah. And even when the calls are answered, the data indicates that staff can spend up to 4 hours a day bogged down by routine inquiries.
Wait, 4 hours?
4 hours a day. Just answering the exact same questions about opening hours, parking, dietary options, or basic table availability over and over.
Right.
So Clickfone's solution is instant 24/7 automated answering. By standardizing these inbound interactions, the platform estimates an annual saving of around 12,000 euros in personnel costs.
Which is significant.
It's huge. Saving 12,000 euros isn't just a nice line item. For an independent restaurant operating on notoriously thin margins, that's the equivalent of hiring a part-time prep cook entirely for free.
Right, yeah. I see that.
Plus, the barrier to entry is essentially non-existent. The documentation highlights a deployment speed of under 5 minutes through a streamlined 3-step process.
Okay, wait. 5 minutes? I have to jump in here, because that timeline is exactly what makes me skeptical.
Why?
Well, what does that 3-step process actually entail? It sounds a bit too good to be true.
It's incredibly straightforward. Step 1, you connect your phone numbers, your existing calendars, and your CRM with a few clicks.
Okay.
Step 2, you train the knowledge base by uploading your FAQs and your documents. And step 3, you just go live.
Just go live.
Yeah, you suddenly have an agent taking calls, qualifying leads, and booking tables around the clock.
Right. Okay, but this is exactly where the promise of tech collides with the reality of hospitality.
How so?
Well, I will certainly acknowledge the financial appeal. Finding 12,000 euros in annual savings is huge, but we have to question the qualitative cost to the restaurant's brand.
You think it hurts the brand?
Yeah. Hospitality is fundamentally about human connection. It's not merely a logistical exercise in securing a physical chair at a wooden table,
Sure, but getting the chair is step 1.
Yes, but you mentioned that 5-minute setup. Connecting a number, uploading some PDFs, and flipping a switch. That might be perfectly adequate if the caller just wants to know your street address.
Right.
But it dramatically underestimates the dynamic, highly unpredictable nature of restaurant diners.
But, how so? If the information is in the PDF, the AI can access it.
Because diners don't talk like PDFs.
Okay, fair point.
Right? A knowledge base trained strictly on uploaded FAQs and static menus is going to struggle to interpret the subtle anxieties or, specific desires a guest has when they're planning a special occasion.
I see where you're going with this.
Yeah, my concern here is that relying heavily on automated agents to be your frontline creates immediate friction for callers with specific needs. It threatens to turn what should be the opening note of a curated, warm hospitality experience into a rigid, robotic transaction.
Well, I think you're picturing a traditional, clunky, robotic phone tree. You know, the kind where you have to press 1 for reservations and scream agent into the receiver.
I mean, maybe a little bit.
But the technology here operates on an entirely different level. The listener might be wondering how it handles a caller who changes their mind 3 times in one sentence.
Yeah, which happens constantly.
Exactly. But because it uses natural language processing, it doesn't just listen for isolated keywords. It actually analyzes the intent of the entire conversation. Let's sketch out a typical interaction.
Please do. I want to hear how seamless this supposedly is.
All right. Imagine it's midnight. The restaurant is closed, the lights are off, but a guest calls to book a table for the weekend. The Clickfone AI answers immediately in natural language.
Okay.
And remarkably, it's capable of conversing fluently in over 30 languages. So it automatically detects the caller's native tongue and responds in kind.
Oh, wow. 30 languages.
Yeah. So the caller asks for a table for 4 on Friday at 8 p.m. Now, because the system integrates natively with Google Calendar and Microsoft 365, the AI isn't just taking a message and promising a callback.
Right, it's checking live.
Exactly. It's actively querying the restaurant's real-time availability. It sees the open slot, confirms the booking verbally with the guest, and instantly locks that slot in the digital calendar to prevent double booking.
Okay, sounds great in theory, but what happens when they call back the next morning because their babysitter canceled and they need to move it to 9 p.m.?
Well, the AI handles that modification completely seamlessly. It recognizes the caller, accesses the existing calendar event, and shifts the time.
Really? Without human intervention?
Without any human intervention. Crucially, this entirely eliminates the 62% of manual rework that usually plagues restaurant staff.
Hang on, what do you mean by manual rework in this context?
I mean the scribbled Post-it notes left by the phone, the forgotten callbacks, the host having to manually type phone numbers from a notepad into the digital CRM system while guests are literally waiting to be seated.
Ah, right.
It replaces all of that with a flawless, instantaneous logistical operation.
Well, I come at it from a completely different way, because we really need to critically examine the evidence the source material uses to support this claim of flawless operation.
Okay, what evidence do you mean?
When we look closely at the documentation to find the primary success story for this seamless automation, who do we actually see? We see Dr. Sarah Vogel, a medical clinic.
Yes. And the clinic saw a 38% increase in automated bookings within 2 weeks without a single human sitting at the phone.
Right.
That's a massive success metric.
It is a massive success metric for a medical clinic. But we have to pause and recognize the staggering categorical difference here.
Is it that different, though?
Booking an appointment for a dental cleaning or a medical checkup is a transactional necessity. You are highly motivated to secure that appointment, and you just want it done as quickly and efficiently as possible.
Sure.
A patient doesn't care if a robot books their root canal, but booking a restaurant, especially a high-end establishment, is the start of an experience.
But I'm not sure the mechanics of booking a time slot are fundamentally different.
The mechanics aren't different, but the psychology absolutely is. When a guest calls a restaurant, they aren't just looking for a time slot.
What else are they looking for?
They might be inquiring about the vibe of the dining room, how strict the dress code really is, or whether the chef's tasting menu is worth the price.
Right, subjective things.
Exactly. Using a medical clinic's success rate to validate a hospitality tool assumes that diners and patients behave exactly the same way, and they don't.
Well,
A patient needs a doctor, so they tolerate the AI. A diner wants an experience. If the AI feels cold or misses a nuance, they're looking for an excuse to hang up and call the place down the street.
I see why you think that. But let me give you a different perspective on how this tool actually functions within the real-world ecosystem of a restaurant.
Go ahead.
I'd argue that you're viewing the AI as a total replacement for the waiter or the host, which is frankly the wrong paradigm entirely.
Well, it's replacing them on the phone.
Right, but think of Clickfone not as a replacement for the human touch, but as a digital maitre d' standing at the outer velvet rope.
Okay, I'm listening. How does the velvet rope change things?
Its primary function is to handle the logistical traffic so the humans don't have to. Think about a Friday night at 7:30 p.m.
Chaos.
Total chaos. The dining room is packed, there's a line out the door, and the phone starts ringing off the hook. The callers usually just want to know if the kitchen is open until midnight or if they can squeeze in a table for two.
Yeah, standard questions.
Exactly. By having the AI instantly route those basic questions and execute the simple bookings, it actually protects the human staff. It acts as a digital shield.
A shield against the customers?
A shield against the distraction of the telephone. Instead of a host constantly breaking eye contact and apologizing to the guests physically standing in front of them because they're trapped on a call about parking,
Right.
the host's daily stress is massively reduced. The human staff is now liberated to focus entirely on the guests in the room. You're actually elevating the in-person hospitality experience precisely because the digital maitre d' is handling all that logistical background noise.
That's a compelling argument, actually. Offloading the pure logistics to allow humans to be more human is a concept I can definitely get behind.
Right.
But have you considered what happens when the guest at that velvet rope has a request that doesn't fit neatly into an uploaded PDF?
Well, the system handles that too.
This is where the friction I mentioned earlier becomes critical. Let's talk about handling complexity in edge cases.
Okay, the system is designed to handle variables. It's not a static script.
Right, but let's test the limits of that design. Say a guest calls to book a party of 6, but 2 of the guests have severe, life-threatening nut allergies, another uses a wheelchair, and they're specifically requesting the corner window table because it's their parents' 50th anniversary.
A bit of a nightmare booking, but okay.
Exactly. In a human interaction, a skilled host does so much more than input data. They immediately understand the gravity of the allergy and verbally reassure the caller.
True.
They note the wheelchair requirement and mentally calculate ensuring adequate space between the tables. And they manage expectations gracefully about the window seat.
Yeah.
Can an AI relying on a localized knowledge base built during a 5-minute setup process handle this multi-dimensional nuance? Or does it simply confirm the booking, push the data to the calendar, and fail to properly flag the allergy, potentially setting up a catastrophic failure during service?
That is a vital question. And honestly, it's exactly why the architecture of Clickfone includes specific systemic fail-safes. The AI doesn't just guess if it encounters a parameter it doesn't recognize or understand.
So what happens when a guest starts rambling about their specific allergy needs?
First, it relies on the centralized knowledge base, which, to be clear, isn't just static PDFs. It can be deeply integrated with the restaurant's specific operational logic and CRM variables.
Okay.
But more importantly, the platform is built with a real-time automatic forwarding feature.
Meaning it just dumps the call to a human?
No, it escalates it intelligently. It uses sentiment analysis and keyword triggers.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, if a request exceeds its parameters, like if it detects complex language regarding severe allergies or nuanced feeding arrangements that require actual human judgment, the system seamlessly routes the call to a designated human manager.
Okay, but then the manager has to start from scratch.
Not at all. And it doesn't do a blind transfer where the guest has to start over. It uses automated workflows to instantly push a structured summary of what has already been discussed straight to the staff member's device.
Oh, that's clever.
Right? The guest is never left stranded in a conversational loop yelling at a robot. The AI flawlessly resolves the 80% of calls that are routine and cleanly escalates the 20% that require true human empathy and complex problem solving.
Well, I appreciate that an escalation protocol exists, and yeah, the structured summary is a smart feature.
Yeah.
But escalating a call still requires a human to answer it, which brings us right back to the original problem. Staff being interrupted during service.
Sure, but only for the 20% that matter.
Fair. However, let's move to a different kind of reality check. We really need to talk about the financial analysis of the platform because this directly impacts the restaurant owner.
Okay, let's get into the numbers.
You mentioned earlier the incredibly low barrier to entry, and the documentation advertises a starter tariff at just €49.99 per month.
Exactly. For effectively €50 a month, a restaurant gets the centralized dashboard, the AI avatar, access to over 20 different voices, 25 languages, and 200 included conversation minutes.
Right, 200 minutes.
When you compare that €50 monthly outlay to the €12,000 saved in annual personnel costs, not to mention the sheer revenue captured by answering the 38% of calls that usually go to voicemail, the return on investment is massive and immediate.
Yes, it sounds great on paper.
It completely democratizes advanced AI technology for small independent restaurateurs who could never afford to build this themselves.
I'm sorry, but I just don't buy that the starter tier is a realistic operational solution for a functioning restaurant. If you're listening to this and you run a hospitality business, you're probably doing the math in your head right now. We have to break down what that €49 actually buys you.
It buys you 200 minutes of active automated phone handling.
Right. 200 conversation minutes per month. If we assume a typical month has 30 days, that equates to roughly 6.5 minutes of talk time per day.
Well,
6.5 minutes. That is perhaps 3, maybe 4 short phone calls.
sure, but it's a starter tier.
But for a busy restaurant that is actively looking to capture 38% more inbound traffic and handle reservations 24/7, 200 minutes is going to vanish in a single busy Friday night.
You're doing the math based strictly on the entry point, but you're missing the strategic purpose of the tiered structure.
How so?
Think about it. If a restaurant is burning through 200 minutes that quickly, it means the system is working perfectly. It means it's successfully capturing a high volume of leads and securing bookings that would have otherwise been missed.
Okay, yes.
At that point, the system has already paid for itself multiple times over, fully justifying an upgrade to the next tier.
But that upgrade significantly changes the financial narrative you presented at the top of the show. The narrative of a cheap €50 fix is essentially a mirage.
I wouldn't call it a mirage.
To get what a real, functioning restaurant actually needs, which, according to the docs, includes native calendar integrations, the ability to have more than one phone number, and a genuinely usable pool of minutes, they must move to the Pro tier.
And the Pro tier is still highly cost-effective at €149.99 per month.
It's triple the price. And let's look at what it includes: 600 minutes. Now, 600 minutes is about 20 minutes of talk time a day.
Yeah, plenty for routine bookings.
That's better, sure, but it's still potentially limiting for a high-volume establishment during peak holiday seasons. Plus, we have to look closely at the overage costs.
The overage cost is just standard SaaS pricing logic.
Standard, sure, but dangerous for a restaurant's bottom line. Once those 600 minutes are burned, the restaurant is charged €0.17 for every additional minute.
It's just 17 cents.
This is where the AI's processing mechanics become a financial liability. If the AI spends too long trying to navigate a complex customer inquiry, or struggles to parse the nuances of a caller's heavy accent, or gets stuck in a loop because the caller is indecisive about the time, those conversational minutes tick away rapidly.
Okay, I see your point.
Every pause, every clarification costs money. The monthly costs could balloon unpredictably, meaning the rigorous financial commitment is far higher than advertised.
I'd argue that even at €150 a month for the Pro tier, plus any overages, the underlying financial logic remains completely ironclad. You are securing 600 minutes of active, productive conversation.
Right.
Payroll taxes and the lost productivity of them not working the floor vastly exceeds €150.
Assuming the AI handles the calls as efficiently as the human.
And the data suggests it does for the vast majority of interactions. Furthermore, we need to clarify what the Pro tier actually unlocks. You get a dedicated SIP trunk.
Okay, which means what exactly, in practical terms for a restaurant owner?
A SIP trunk, which, if you're not in IT, basically means a heavy-duty digital phone line that allows multiple concurrent calls.
Ah, multiple calls at once.
Exactly. It means 5 different customers can call your restaurant at the exact same time, and the AI will answer all 5 simultaneously without anyone ever getting a busy signal. It also unlocks 3 user seats, 3 separate phone numbers, and priority support.
Okay, but the 17 cents a minute still adds up.
It's a microtransaction compared to the value of what's being secured. Let's do the math on the overage. If a 3-minute AI conversation costs the restaurant 51 cents in overage fees,
Right.
but that conversation secures a table of 4 that spends €200 on dinner and drinks, the ROI is beyond dispute. You're trading pennies for hundreds of euros in confirmed revenue.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the platform offers complete transparency. Restaurants can track every single minute, every routed call, and every conversion directly in their KPI dashboard. They aren't flying blind and hoping the bill isn't too high at the end of the month.
The mathematical ROI on a per-booking basis is clear. I definitely won't dispute that trading 51 cents for a €200 table is good business, but my overarching position remains that owners must be deeply cautious about the hidden costs of automating hospitality.
Fair enough.
The metrics are appealing, yes, but relying on a system built for transactional efficiency, again, a system whose primary documented success metric is a medical clinic, to manage the delicate, often irrational, highly emotional nature of dining out is a fundamental risk.
Yeah.
While the underlying technology is undoubtedly powerful for basic logistics, evaluating the true costs of those higher-tier plans, actively managing the edge cases of dietary restrictions, and ensuring the brand's warmth isn't lost in a digital interface requires constant vigilance from the owner. It is not something you can simply set up in 5 minutes and forget about.
But I think we can both agree that the baseline ability to provide instantaneous, 24/7 answers to routine questions, like exactly what time the kitchen closes, or whether there's valet parking, or securing a simple Tuesday night table for two, offers undeniable value.
Sure, absolutely.
The operational relief of simply getting those highly specific, repetitive calls away from the host stand provides a structural advantage that modern businesses simply cannot ignore.
Absolutely. Offloading the pure logistics to allow human staff to be more present and more human is a concept we both support. The friction lies entirely in where we draw the line between a logistical query and a true hospitality interaction, and whether an AI can accurately tell the difference.
Precisely. It is a delicate balance between maximizing operational efficiency and preserving the warmth of human hospitality. Clickfone represents a necessary evolution in restaurant management, transforming missed opportunities into confirmed revenue.
Yeah.
But as these AI systems become even more sophisticated, observing how the line between automated logistics and genuine customer care shifts will be a fascinating area for all of us to continue exploring. Which brings us right back to that ringing phone at the host stand. The next time you're sitting in a beautifully lit dining room and you see the host reach for the receiver, you have to wonder, is that call an opportunity for human connection or just another logistical task that a digital maitre d' could have handled flawlessly in the dark?